In the building.
Man, y'all see we in the flesh, man. I appreciate you for rocking with me, man. For the people that don't know, man, we got a legend, Northside legend, man. If y'all wasn't familiar with the homie, man, back in them early 90s, man, even the fucking early 2000s, I ain't gonna even say early 90s like that, man. We got the homie, man, Candace Stowe shit, but I'm gonna let him introduce himself to the streets, to the world, let everybody know who he is, where you from, and what you got coming.
B.I. motherfucking G. Love, y'all know what it is. Mr. 8 North Main, Northside is your motherfucking president, baby. What it do?
Hey, big little on the back streets, representing that real, representing that 713, man, H-Town's finest. For the people that don't know, man, tell the people where you come from, man, how you came up and all that great stuff.
Born and raised in Studewood, Texas. From the 8 North Main to the 50-50 year block. They're my go-getters. That's why I set in stone who I was to become. So shout out to all of them niggas that come up from that way. That's built like me, real official, from Northtown Apartments.
Man, for the people that don't know or been on the rock, man, what it was like for coming up in Studewood, man, back in those days, like your upbringing.
Back in my days, coming up in the woods, it was way different. You know, I lace people up to this because it'd be some unbelievable shit. I probably never saw a white person that wasn't a crackhead until I was damn near grown. That's how different it was coming up in Studewood. If you saw somebody white, in school we probably had 1 or 2 white people that went there, but if they was going to school with us, it was poverty. They was the poorest.
Either they was the dolphins or the laws.
Right, dolphins or laws, or if they came into the neighborhood, they was licks to us. If they had money or they was doctors and lawyers, back then, late 80s, early 90s, we was serving them. So as far as a respectable white person, I wouldn't even personally bump into one of them until I was, damn near an adult and learning more about the world and making the transition out of the neighborhood. I know a lot of people claim First, from different sides, but as First as being a municipality, that was Independence Heights. We call it Studewood, but if you think about the name and, Independence, it tells you a lot. So we're going all the way back to the 1800s with the significance of this neighborhood.
Did y'all frequent the Heights as much? Or was the whites kind of like...
We didn't take our ass under 610.
Okay.
If you went on the other side of 610, it was kind of like the low 30s would maybe start on that side, but I think there probably were a few Hispanic families on that side, but the demographics started changing the closer you got to town.
Are you proud of the people, man, that came from your section, came from your city, that was able to do what you guys did, do this rap shit and take it to another level?
I'm disappointed in the niggas that came from my side. Like, nobody really done the shit they supposed to do. We got a handful of people who kept it real. But when I look at these interviews and I see a couple of cats, majority of them, they leave out a timeline that many people don't know. So it's like,
what is the timeline?
That would be like during the time I was reigning and during the time a lot of more influential people like Dear Trinity Garden and your EIEs and your Trees for Life and your casino mobs and you had the South had people in this reign as well, because this would be the same time that the Botany Boys were doing their thing. Shout out to Courtney and Red. They always were integral in trying to take the city to the next level.
For real. And just being from the 8, man, being from Studewood, North Main, what I claim, all that great stuff. You got the Mike Joneses, your Beat Kings. Did you know those brothers was going to become as global as they became?
Funny story about B King is, B King, his mom, my mom, we all went to the same church growing up. So my first introduction to B King, he'll have to correct me on this, but I don't even know if he was a teenager yet. He's probably preteen or early teens, and I was always integral in music and had studios everywhere I was. She brought him to me as a youngster, so she was like, hey, this is, You know, the young guy goes to the church. He's interested in music, and oh man, he came right in. I think I had a Kurzweil keyboard back then. He knew what it was, you know. But at this time, you know, there was no the legend of Beat King was yet to exist. So this is just a young guy I see with an interest in music, and so that was my introduction to Beat King. So for him to become who he came and being brought to me at such an early stage as somebody who's interested in music and trying to do his music and from my neighborhood, that's a proud moment to be able to say that, you know, this is a young guy who I know, you know, was right there, you know, on the streets that I walked on and came, you know, after me on those streets and ended up being successful. And, you know, also somebody like if I reach out to, you know, he's, you know, always gonna get right back. Humble dude, genuine, you know, so much success to Beat King too.
Man, shout out Beat King, man. What about the homie Mike? You knew he was gonna blow or become, like we was talking out crowd, my man Mike Jones became just, it was a time like that's all you would hear about is Mike Jones. And for him to, you know, be from the East Parts, be from the North, being that, you know, the South was really dominating shit. And he, like I say, right up the street.
He's one of the few people, if you see Mike in a crowd like Mike can do, a lot of people and artists from Houston can rock clubs. Mike can rock arenas. Mike can, his fan base is just so wide that, I mean, it's hard to hate on somebody who can touch it.
You say Mike Jones is the most successful? That's who you'll give it to.
When I'm saying successful, I'm not talking monetarily.
Right, okay.
Because I know you got people who did good investments like Chameleon now.
Shout out Cam.
You got Slim did some good investments. So I mean, you got people who probably invested in monetarily might be okay, but if we're talking success in music, if we're talking sales, like I doubt any of those guys that I named can surpass the sales of Mike Jones. Like we talking somebody with double platinum plaques and stuff, you know, on their name. This is RIAA certified. Like this is not hood props, you know what I mean? This is not hood certification. We talking about recording industry standards. I mean, what he did is definitely a success, and to come from the same neighborhood I'm from, you know, hey, couldn't help but be proud of him.
Man,
I actually didn't know him early on. I met him. I actually bumped into him around the time he was blowing up. I think we were probably at the airport in Miami or something. You know, he's from Studewood.
Oh, okay.
He's from Studewood, yeah. I just didn't know him. You know, it's a nice age gap between me and a lot of those artists. So by the time I met him and they were telling me he was from the hood and I did a little research, I'm like, okay, y'all, little homie from the hood. And you know, he represented, I think, just like me, like in my days hustling, I probably moved around the city a lot. I think he was on the Tidwell block for a while, and I had even made my rounds through that block as well.
shout out Tidwell, man. Backstreets with Coach shit, man. Big love dropping it on you. Man, why you think the city kind of turned their back on Mike Jones?
The city, man, turned their back on Mike. Let's see. For one, man, we got a culture of people who like to ride with the W. So I mean, so his whole situation with Trey, a lot of people looked at that like, you know, he took a L in that situation. So, you know.
I can get
So
that.
people can turn, you know, people like to ride with who they feel like is the tough guy at the time. You know what I mean?
I feel that, man.
And
You had said something a long time ago. And I said, if I ever talk to Big Lug, I'm going to ask him about that. It's actually about the homie Trey, and we'll edit it out if you don't agree. But you said anybody that's keep recording that shit ain't doing that shit just genuine.
oh yeah, we talk about giving.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Because we can. I probably. Do
Did something piss you off? Because you just had went off that day. I'm like, damn.
Nah, that's just me personally.
Okay.
That goes for Trey and anybody else doing it. I feel like when you genuinely doing something out of the heart for anybody, it's like I don't think those are the moments that you know you turn the camera on. Because the moment you turn the camera on, you lose the validity of that being sincere. So I don't think there's no sincerity in charity once you turn the camera on.
Okay, but I guess seeing is believing.
If you turn the camera on while I'm doing charity, it's probably different. But if I got a whole promo team around, you know, recording while I'm doing something. It comes to
big love
I want
on
you
the
to know
back streets, man.
what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got a point. I ain't never look at it on that angle.
I've given turkeys back, man. I've helped people in my neighborhood. I've done everything these people to do, like, and I got actual people who can vouch for this. But you know, I've shoes, school clothes, but never in my life if I was like, hey man, record me while I do this. I don't necessarily know if it's a different era because some of those guys are from my era. I just think I just think it's different breeds of niggas out here. You
big love on the back street, man. Back street shit, man. What was Chocolate Town like for the people that didn't grow up in that era?
Oh man, say Chocolate Town. Shout out to my boy MJ. I don't know if he alive or he dead or where MJ was the owner of Chocolate Town, and I'm telling you, MJ kept $1,500 to $2,500 in my pocket every weekend. I wouldn't give a damn if it was Too Short or Ice Cube or who was in that club. He was gonna make sure that I was on the card and I got money. And if it was more promoters and club owners around like MJ, man, the success of a lot of artists in that era would have been a whole lot bigger. And shout out to Oasis too. That was the Southside competing club when Chocolate Town was out. So there was nothing for me to do a show at Chocolate Town, leave, do a show at Oasis. They paid a lot of bills, bought a lot of Pampers back then with my boys with Lil. So shout out to them clubs. And just to elaborate on how they were, it's like, if you wasn't in Chocolate Town, Oasis, Jamaica, you was wasting your time. You wasn't where it at. That's why anybody in the city of Houston, that's where you were. That's where the party was. That's where all the original artists, the G's, the hustlers. If you was anybody amongst anybody, you were there. Those were the places to be.
Town legend in the building, man. He gave us some of that outside history, man. What would be your message to the young black men?
My message to the young black men: stop killing each other. Would be the first thing. It's like, it's why I kind of lost my love for music. I started seeing the music transitioning into something that, you know, we didn't plan out for it to be. When I jumped into it in the early 90s, it was because my love for Stetsasonic, my love for Soul Sonic Force, my love for Bambaataa, my love for MC Shan, LL Cool J, Run DMC. It's something that had me writing whole rhymes in the 4th grade, you know. It wasn't about money with me originally, it was all about the art, you know. I jumped in hip hop when they said it was a fad and when it wasn't gonna last. So I did my part to let the city and also let other people know, you know, it's more than a fad. Like, they killing each other and they kind of like, you know, it lost focus on everything because the goal was to get in and get money and get out.
Blow up, actually make it out the hood.
Right, so they kind of turned it into get money, foul out, get an op, talk shit to your op, kill your op.
And as far as Houston, do you remember any?
Choice, for sure. That was my girl. She was trying to rap a lot.
Okay.
So shout out to Choice. Choice was with me down there every day. Choice and MC Wicked Cricket. Those were like two.
You say Wicked?
Wicked Cricket.
R.I.P. Okay.
R.I.P. Those were two people influential when I was
That's
recording.
who don't get their credit either.
When I was recording and representing Real, those were two people who rolled with me, who met me at the studio. You know, they wanted, you know, they were supportive in what I was doing, and they wanted to make sure that I got the message out right. So I had those people who were a little older than me in my ear, making sure I was ready.
Feel like you do a good representation for the city of Houston?
I feel like I'm one of the few who represented Real for the city.
What you mean by real?
I stayed true to the same team. I didn't skip eras like a lot of them do. Like I was telling you earlier, you see a lot of people, every time I see a Houston artist get interviewed and they ask them like, well, who influenced you in the music? They jump straight to, oh, Scarface, Ghetto Boys, come on man, get out the gas. You niggas weren't even old enough to know much about no Scarface and no Ghetto Boys. Nigga,
on the back street.
Y'all know Big Love was your pupil, man. Tell the truth, these same artists, you know, from your Slim Thugs to your Mikes, a lot of these people, you know, they told me and they looked in my face and they told me that if it weren't for them, you know, I love when we saw you on the stage, that was the turning point in their careers. I'm the one who made it possible for them to believe that.